KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For up-to-the-minute info on distribution hubs, help, and volunteer opportunities in the Altadena area, please visit Neighborhood Servants or Pasadena Community Coalition on Instagram. The Wild Seed Collective is offering free grant workshops to businesses impacted by the LA wildfires. Find them at wildseedcollective.com. Fuller's Psychological and Family Services is offering 12 free therapy sessions to people impacted by the fires who are unable to access care. Contact Executive Director Dr. Ted Koss at tedkoss@fuller.edu. Grief and Hope, the LA Art World Mutual Aid Relief administered by The Brick, is offering help to artists impacted by the blazes. Info is available at the/brick.org. On Instagram, Mutual Aid LAN is updating a Google Sheet in real time with locations, verified GoFundMe sites, and current resources. If you haven't done so yet, it's still a good idea to sign up for Notify LA on your phone for fire alerts and updates. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the poor and where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind. Caress the mind and question justifying. With you and God in time, my best align.
You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and Chief White House Correspondent. I'm in touch, so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. And there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are, again, for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. I know that there are other folks out there with the name A More Perfect Union, but they're not bringing you the same flavor we bring in. So be sure to go to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. Subscribe to it, and that way you'll never, ever, ever miss an episode. Now, let me just be honest with you all, because, you know, that's my modus operandi. I always want to keep it real with you. It's a balancing act, curating content for our afternoon drive time experience that isn't so Trump heavy, right? There's a lot of news that's coming out of Washington, D.C., a lot of news coming out of the White House, and it is never my goal to overwhelm people. You know, I'm not trying to give you a case of outrage fatigue, but I hope you know that the headlines that we bring to you, the guests that we bring to you, the analysis that we bring is in the spirit of keeping you informed, making sure that you have a line of sight as to what's happening, even recognizing that, you know, you don't want to follow this hour by hour and certainly not second by second. And so there are a number of updates coming from Washington, D.C. that you need to know, that are important for you to know, important for your family to know, so that you can decide how you will move forward and decisions that you'll make in the interest of you and your family. So that is the preview of what we intend to get into today. But first things first, it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. It's time for your national news roundup. And kicking us off, NBC News is reporting that Governor Kathy Hochul won't remove the embattled New York City Mayor Eric Adams, well, at least for now. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said today that she won't, for the time being, remove embattled New York City Mayor Eric Adams from office, but will impose limits on his power. Hochul in recent weeks had been pressured to exercise her power to remove Adams from City Hall after his indictment last year on corruption allegations. Calls to remove Adams have intensified after the Trump administration moved to drop all charges against the mayor and told him he needs to help federal authorities carry out immigration raids. That, of course, has raised allegations from New York Democrats of a quid pro quo arrangement, making Adams allegedly beholden to Trump. In other news, USA Today is reporting that roughly a tenth of employees in the office overseeing federal student loans take buyout. That's right. The main government office that helps students pay for college will be reduced by roughly a tenth of the employees it had last year following Trump administration's buyout. An internal list reviewed by USA Today shows that 124 federal student aid office workers enrolled in the so-called deferred resignation program. The offer promised full pay and benefits through September 30th to eligible staffers across the federal workforce. There were 1,444 employees at FSA in 2024. That's according to their annual report. FSA, which is an arm of the U.S. Department of Education, distributes financial help to roughly 10 million students yearly and oversees the government's nearly $2 trillion federal student loan portfolio. And so, if you know, like I know, if you have less employees doing the work, then you might want to expect some delays in getting what you need with regard to student aid. And so we'll continue to keep our eye on that. But moving along, NPR reporting exclusively that the Trump administration has dropped work on stronger building codes for disasters. This is not good news to hear, especially where our home station is located in Los Angeles, where folks are still reeling. And from the LA wildfires, we know that for the past 25 years, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, otherwise known as FEMA, has helped develop building codes, the construction standards that help houses survive hurricanes and wildfires and earthquakes. Now, the Trump administration has ordered that to stop. That's according to people that are directly involved with this work. NPR learned that FEMA is dropping out of the latest effort to improve building codes, taking its name off of recommendations that it expects have already been developed and submitted. That's according to several people with knowledge of the changes. They spoke on conditions of anonymity because the Trump administration can be petty, and they are concerned of any sort of reprisal. But the recommendations that FEMA submitted were filed with the International Code Council, an independent association that develops building codes used by states and local government, since the U.S. does not have a national set of codes. And the proposals FEMA is retracting its involvement from focus on helping homes survive strong winds, seismic shaking, and rising floodwaters. That can't be good. That can't be good for folks here in Los Angeles. That can't be good for folks that are still recovering from the damages of Hurricane Helene in the Carolinas and Georgia. This cannot be good for folks across the country that are having to endure the effects of severe weather events that are happening with more frequency. This is not good, not good. Finally, in other news, we know that federal workers are under great stress. I hear this from friends and sources alike, not just in Washington, D.C., but across the country. When we come forward, I'll be joined by Tavis Smiley, the host of Tavis Smiley and our Chief Visionary Officer here at KBLA, to talk about a new campaign that we are launching here at KBLA in support of federal workers. We'll also get his hot take on President Trump celebrating Black History Month after abolishing diversity programs. And a little bit later, we know that Trump loyalist Kash Patel has been confirmed as the FBI director. I want to get Tavis's take on what this means, especially considering the Black community's very peppered experiences with the FBI over its history. There's a lot in the news, and there's no better person to help us make it make sense than Tavis Smiley. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from Nitsa and the Ad Council.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and joined by the legendary Tavis Smiley, host of Tavis Smiley, nationally syndicated, also the Chief Visionary Officer here at KBLA Talk 1580. Welcome, Tavis.
It is good to be on your program again, Dr. Quartelai. How are you, sir? Well, I know how you're doing. You're killing it every day, and I love it. Thank you. We are blessed to have you. And how are you enjoying the afternoon drive, sir?
I love afternoon drive time.
Yeah.
We have more time to stretch out with our leaders, learners, and listeners.
I love that. I love that, by the way. Leaders, learners, and listeners. That alliteration works for me. Yeah.
I love it too, and I love them. And but what we don't love is people playing in our face. USA Today reporting that President Trump celebrated Black History Month after abolishing diversity programs. You can't make this stuff up. President Trump celebrated Black History Month at the White House today after ordering federal agencies to end their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and firing those staffers. Trump had already saluted the contributions of African Americans in a proclamation on January 31st, but he also issued several executive orders ending DEI policies, and the Defense Department even issued a memo declaring identity months dead at the DOD. Tavis, what do you make of this?
It is hard to wrap your brain around it. To your point just now about the Department of Defense doing away with identity months, the Trump administration itself is not on message. You see where I'm going here, right? So you can't do away with anything and everything Black and then have a celebration. For those who can't see me, for those watching on YouTube, you see me, but I'm doing air quotes. Have a celebration in the White House while, as you eloquently said, you're doing away with anything Black anywhere in the federal government, including Black people who are being pushed out of their jobs in these mass layoffs and buyouts. So that I don't know what we're celebrating today inside the White House. Like, what are we celebrating? I said on my show earlier today, we're celebrating that we're going to get these Negroes. We, once and for all, we're going to push these Negroes back into the sea if we can, send them back to Africa. I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but not really, because that's the way it appears. So you have the Department of Defense and other agencies doing away with anything Black. That letter from the Department of Education last week, that anything and everything with Black on it is illegal, including Black graduations and scholarships. You saw that. You talked about it. I heard you on your program discussing it. So you got the Department of Education sending out its edicts. You have the Department of Defense sending out its mandates, but there's a celebration in the White House. So they're not even on message. It seems to me that if that's how you feel, you should have canceled the Identity Month, as they call it, celebration inside the White House today, which begs the obvious question. Dr. Quartelai, I ask you, why did they not cancel it? Because Donald Trump doesn't care about advancing Black people. He is willing to push an agenda that is antithetical to the best interests of Black people, but he wants Negroes around him for the photo op to make it look like, you know, I'm the best president. He's already said the best president Black folk have ever had. Never mind Abraham Lincoln, never mind Barack Obama, never mind, et cetera, et cetera. He's the best president that Black folk have ever had. So you on the one hand, again, push an agenda that is not in our best interest, but you want to play us as if we're stuck on stupid when all these photos come out tonight and tomorrow of these Negroes hanging around him that you really love Black people. Well, you can't have it both ways. And so it's just another example, again, of this administration doing things and saying things that make no sense whatsoever. But I'm just struck by the fact that they are not on message for their own campaign, for the agenda that they say that they're advancing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Black folks that were around him, reportedly guests joining him in the East Room included Senator Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina, no surprise there. But Representative John James, Republican of Michigan, Scott Turner, the new Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Alveda King, the niece of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and golfer Tiger Woods. Look,
Tiger was there?
That's what USA Today is reporting, that Tiger Woods,
Eldrick Tiger Woods was there,
right?
Okay.
And so I think this begs the question about how we move forward. There are some folks that say we got to resist. We got to resist everything that's coming out of this White House. We cannot normalize fascism in the Oval Office. And then there are those that say, well, we tried that last go round, and given Republicans control of the House and the Senate, we got to figure out where we're willing to play ball. There are some people that say, there are some proposals in Trump's economic agenda that might be worth looking at. How do you think about this? How do you process this question of to resist or not to resist?
I don't think it's either or, but both and, if I can put it that way. I think there are elements and there are spaces and places and agenda items that they're pushing on which we have to resist, no question about it. I shouldn't say this publicly because everybody else will be asking me for one of these. I only had one, and I gave it to you. I gave Nii-Quartelai a hoodie the other day. And on the hoodie, it says what? Black media is the resistance. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start selling these hoodies on our KBLA.store. But these companies send me these samples, how things are going to look. And so it happened to be a Nii-Quartelai size, so I gave it to him. But it says, and again, you can order it shortly on KBLA.store, that black media is the resistance. And so we have got to do what we've always done. Tell the stories, tell the truth, profile the people, ask the questions, raise the issues, hold folk accountable who otherwise would not be held accountable. So we have our job to do, no question about that. We have to be, I think, in black media, the resistance. On the other hand, as I said on my show earlier today, our broken clock is right twice a day. So I suspect and at least hope that at least 2 times in the next 4 years, there'll be occasions on which Donald Trump would do something that we can get with. That's my hope. I am not holding my breath. So again, black people are not stuck on stupid. We are wise. We are politically astute. We are savvy. If, in fact, there are areas on which we think we can work with him, then we should. On the other hand, we have got to be prepared to be the resistance that we need to be. If there is a Trump 2.0, then clearly there must be a resistance 2.0. And so I think we have to be judicious about how we do that. So I'm not prepared to say that over the next 4 years, Donald Trump won't do anything that's right, won't do anything that we can't get behind. I ain't seen it yet. But we shall see what the next 4 years brings.
Well, one of the things that it looks like a federal judge is getting behind, a judge rules against the union's bid to block mass federal layoffs by Trump. NBC News reporting that a federal judge just today denied a bid by labor unions to block the Trump administration from carrying out mass layoffs at these federal agencies. Federal Judge Cooper indicated in his ruling that he was sympathetic to the National Treasury Employees Union and the 4 other unions that were seeking a restraining order to temporarily halt the layoffs, but said the federal court was not the appropriate venue for their lawsuit. Were you surprised by this ruling, Tavis?
Not so much. I believe, and so said again earlier today, that yesterday, in fact, that the courts are going to be a mixed bag over the next 4 years. Because why? It depends on whose court you land in. There are judges appointed by Republican presidents, judges appointed by Democratic presidents. So as we see pushback on these executive orders and the like, it depends in part on which court you land in, number one. And number two, as Judge Tanya Chutkan, this is the sister judge, right? Mm-hmm. This is the judge in D.C., who was going to was in fact overseeing the cases that Jack Smith, the independent prosecutor, was bringing. So, we saw from her rulings then, she was prepared to hold Donald Trump accountable and frankly in contempt, depending on how he was going to behave in the days ahead. Of course, all that got shut down. Jack Smith closes those cases out. But here is a sister judge who we didn't expect to be in alignment with Donald Trump, who also had a ruling on Tuesday of this week, as I recall, that denied the state's attorneys generals, 14 of them, if my memory serves me correctly, who wanted to shut down Elon Musk. And she said, I need more evidence. But right now, I can't grant you what you're asking for. So for the moment, for the time being, Elon Musk has carte blanche to do what he intends to do. So again, it's going to be a mixed bag over the next 4 years of how these courts actually move. But this takes us directly into what we're doing here at KBLA, and I'll let you tee it up. As Donald Trump continues to force people out of their jobs in the federal labor force, many of them, as we know, African Americans, we want to have our say about that at KBLA. So we just made a big announcement yesterday, I believe it is. It's on all of our socials. You're hearing the promo run on this station, and I'll let Dr. Quartelai tee this up, since this idea actually came from Dr. Quartelai. But I ain't stupid. I know a good idea when I hear one, so I jumped all over this one. So why don't you tee it up in the few minutes that we have left, sir?
Well, certainly, over the weekend, I've really been wrestling with this. Living between D.C. and L.A., there are a number of federal workers that are friends, that are sources of reliable information, and to see their livelihoods just completely upended, I felt like there was something more that we can do besides, just sort of look on and shake our heads and wring our hands. And so we are launching the Fired But Not Forgotten campaign here at KBLA Talk 1580. It's the Testimony Project. We are committed to bearing witness, to breaking silence, and building community. And how are we going to do it? We're going to amplify the voices of Black federal workers impacted by these mass firings. And, this is rooted in what we are about here at KBLA Talk 1580, rooted in the Black tradition of testimony. Mm-hmm. That's why this initiative is laser focused on ensuring that those who served us are not erased from history. How are we doing this? We're doing this through firsthand accounts, through investigative storytelling, through community-driven dialogue. We intend to expose the injustice, to preserve the truth, and demand the accountability. And even just today, since we've been on air, it's been reported by the Washington Post that the Internal Revenue Service just today began firing employees in a massive layoff ordered by the Trump administration. Mm-hmm. We're talking about 7,000 employees expected to lose their jobs.
So what we're doing is inviting those persons who are victimized, frankly, by this administration. So if you are one of those persons, or if you know one of those persons who've been forced out of their job in the federal workforce, we're asking them to contact us at info@smileyAudiomedia.com. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com, or they can hit us via our open mic feature on the app at KBLA 1580. So either at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or through the open mic feature on our app, KBLA 1580. We want them to reach out to us. And here's what we're doing very quickly. I know you're tight on time. On Dr. Quartelai's show, on Dominique DePrima's show, on my show, on Adrian Shropshire's show, we're going to be interviewing these people and letting you hear from them in their own words. We want to be a repository for their stories, and we're going to build this portal that nobody else in the country is going to do, listening to the Black folk who've been forced out by these mass firings. Info@smileyAudiomedia.com. The open mic feature on our app. We want to hear from you. If you know these folk, tell them we're looking for them. We want to interview them on our various shows, hear their stories, build this portal where folk can go to see the impact that these decisions are having on our community. Trust and believe this is going to have a real impact, and Black unemployment is about to go up when you lay off all these workers at the federal government. But we want to chronicle the stories of our people impacted by this nonsense.
That's right. And don't think that federal employees are just in D.C.
That's right.
6% of federal employees are in D.C., 20% in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, 150,000 federal employees right here in the state of California, where our home station is located. And so my thanks to Tavis Smiley for your support for this campaign and for all that you do to keep us inspired, even in times such as this.
It was a great idea. As I said, I ain't stuck on stupid. I hear a great idea. I know it. I'm running with it. We want to hear from you. Love you, Dr. Quartelai.
Love you, too. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
If you're looking to be engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice, you've tuned into the right place. A More Perfect Union continues when we come forward.
The wind is blowing cold. Have we lost our way tonight? Have we lost our hope to sorrow?
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. New York Governor Kathy Hochul will not remove Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams, but will impose state oversight, adding a deputy inspector general and limiting his legal power. The move follows backlash over allegations of a deal with the Trump administration. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell says he was racially profiled when arrested in 1996 outside of an Iowa casino. He says he carried a gun for protection as a Black man new to the Midwest. Charges were later dismissed. The Missouri House is advancing a bill to shift control of the St. Louis police from the mayor to a state-appointed board. Black Mayor Tashara Jones' office calls it disheartening, noting crime is down under local leadership. And President Trump has appointed Maryland's Black governor, Wes Moore, to the Council of Governors, a group coordinating on national security and disaster response. He joins Democratic and Republican governors, including Kathy Hochul, Ron DeSantis, and Glenn Youngkin. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Awful drive into Diamond Bar, 60 eastbound crawling from Hacienda all the way to The 57 freeway, where the 3 right lanes are off limits, as well as the 57 North connector. Due to an earlier crash, cleanup continues, but it's going to be closer to 6 o'clock before the lanes reopen, according to the Highway Patrol. It's affecting the 57 northbound as well, loading up all the way out of Brea, getting away from Imperial Highway. Surrounding surface streets, an absolute nightmare as well. Let's look at Pasadena. 210 eastbound, slowing down from Lincoln, delays all the way to Azusa.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, CalHope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Some disappointing news around the NBA today. San Antonio Spurs center Victor Wembanyama will miss the rest of the season after he was diagnosed with a blood clot in his right shoulder. The second-year star from France played in Sunday's NBA All-Star game. Milwaukee Bucks forward Bobby Portis was suspended 25 games without pay for violating the NBA's anti-drug policy. A random test revealed Portis, a key player for the Bucks off the bench, had taken tramadol, a medication for severe pain. The Chargers will be the host team for an NFL regular season game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The game is scheduled for Friday, September 5th. The NFL has yet to announce who the Chargers will play. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 3rd in the country, is back in action tonight against Illinois. 6:30 tip-off at Pauley Pavilion. You can catch the game live on the Big Ten Network. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For information on fire recovery resources, recovery hubs, and available services, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 countywide. Aid distribution locations, repopulation updates, and safety rules are constantly changing. Visit the LA City and LA County websites for the latest. If you'd like to sign up for the county's free debris removal, fill out a right of entry form, or get a list of disaster recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the business-to-business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I'm tired of being poor and even worse, I'm black. My stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a purse to snatch. Cops give a damn about a Negro. Pull a trigger, killing, he's a hero. Get it to the kids who the hell cares. One less hungry mouth on the welfare. First ship them, don't let them deal with brothers. Give them guns, step back, watch them kill each other. It's time to fight back, that's what Huey said. 2 shots in the dark, now Huey's dead. I got love for my brothers, but we can never go nowhere unless we share with each other. We gotta start making changes. Learn to see me as a brother instead of 2 distant strangers. And that's how it's supposed to be. How can the devil take a brother if he's close to me? I let it go back to when we played as kids, but then changed. And that's the way it is. Come on, come on.
That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. That's just the way it is. Oh yeah.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and it's always a good day to play some Tupac. He was ahead of his time, wasn't he? I want to say hello to all the folks in the More Perfect group chat, folks who are streaming us on YouTube. We see you. Hey, Selena Ricks. You are here every day, and we love you for it. Morris Phillips, Tavis Smiley says hello. He says hello to all of you, but see the shout out right there. Thanks for Selena for uplifting that message that we got to support Black media, especially in times like this. Keep your comments coming. We love engaging y'all in the group chat. We also want to hear from you. And so don't be shy about calling the phone lines here. There's a lot happening in the world, and it's okay for you to call, and we can make it make sense together. Just call 1-800-920-1580. That's 1-800-920-1580. I would love to hear from you. But now in some more important news, NBC News is reporting that Kash Patel, a longtime loyalist to President Trump, y'all know what happened today? Kash Patel was confirmed by the United States Senate as the director of the FBI. The FBI, as in the agency that he's talked about drastically restructuring, while echoing Trump's claims of the weaponization of the Bureau's powers in the Capitol riot investigation and other recent cases. It's worth noting that Patel was opposed by a pair of Republican senators, Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski and Maine Senator Susan Collins. But he won support from every other Republican, including Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, who had opposed some of Trump's other nominees. The final vote was 51-49, with all Senate Democrats opposing Patel. I think this is an important story. I think this is an important moment for us to put a stake in the ground on. And I'm not alone in thinking that. The Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights put out a statement today. Maya Wiley put out a statement today saying, quote, qualifications and competence are no longer required to lead the federal agency, including the nation's top law enforcement agency. Maya Wiley said being the nation's top cop no longer requires being a law enforcer. Today in America, a majority of senators confirmed Kash Patel, allowing a threat to those who the president deems an enemy, and to those who do not take a knee and bow to the whims and will of a president who is violating the law. She said it's beyond shameful, and this confirmation is a veiled threat to people who have a viewpoint unpopular with the current regime or who seek to exercise or demand their rights. That's what the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights said today. But who is this Kash Patel guy? Who is he? Where did FBI Director Kash Patel, where does he stand on civil liberties? Well, the ACLU saw fit to remind us that President Trump stated that he intended to nominate Kash Patel and did. But Patel wore a number of hats during the first Trump administration. Remember when he worked in the Department of Justice as a prosecutor, as a national security advisor and a senior counsel for the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, and as a deputy assistant to the president on National Security Council. In the final months of the first Trump administration, he served as chief of staff to the acting Secretary of Defense, and since then, he's been a frequent contributor on conservative media, including appearing on podcasts hosted by Steve Bannon and Sean Ryan. That's what he's done, right? And so I say all that to say he understands how government works. He's been on the inside. And folks who understand how government works from the inside out, those are the people you really got to watch. You know, people who have been on the outside, they've never worked in government, it takes them a while to sort of figure out how that thing works. But not for Kash Patel. In addition, when I first learned that he was confirmed, I thought back to an op-ed in the Washington Post from Colbert King, where he said, then, as you consider Kash Patel, remember J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO. Kash Patel, President Trump's pick to head the FBI, has a well-earned reputation as a loyalist who adopts Trump's perceived enemies as his own. Patel has identified enemies in the deep state who he says need to be purged from the federal bureaucracy. He has threatened retribution against critics in the media, telling Trump's former chief strategist Steve Bannon on a podcast that if he were to join the Trump administration, he would retaliate against journalists. So you can see why I'm a little uneasy that he has been now confirmed as the FBI director. He said, quotes, "We're going to come after you, whether it's criminally or civilly. We'll figure that out." Going to come after you. Going to come after you. Where have we heard that before? The phrase has an ominous ring that calls to mind the bad old years of COINTELPRO, which was FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover's secret counterintelligence program directed at domestic groups and individuals, including college students, black community organizations, left-wing campaigns, and the anti-war movement. The FBI wasn't out to get only lawbreakers. Hoover was bent on disrupting and demeaning and neutralizing the effectiveness of groups and individuals that he deemed subversive or a threat to his warped vision of domestic order. This is a day that history will remember. History will remember every single one of those United States senators that didn't have the courage to stand up and vote no for someone that thinks it's okay to weaponize a law enforcement agency. We have seen this movie before. Let's just hope that the sequel isn't as bad as the original. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it
inside. When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. We're going to let that ride for a second. Just a little Prince. Look, we are in afternoon drive time. And so I would be remiss if I didn't give you a little something to tap your foot to bob your head to. You know, we over here, we're having fun. Look, we gotta deliver news to you that sometimes feels like too much controversy. But that's okay, because that's not all we do here. We're gonna give you some inspiration. We got 2 hours to stretch out, and so I hope you all will stretch out with us. Look, it's always a good day. It's always a good day to get your dose of Prince, one of the greatest artists, one of the greatest musicians that has ever picked up a guitar, stepped to a piano, bust a move on the dance floor, and you have a chance to experience Prince for a day. Just for a day. Variety is reporting that Purple Rain returns to theaters for one night only. A one-night Dolby Cinema presentation. We love to hear it. If you are a Prince fan, as I am, as so many of us are here at KBLA, you will soon have another chance to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And those waters will be clearer than ever before. On March 5th, Warner Brothers Discovery and Dolby will release Purple Rain for one night, exclusively in Dolby Cinemas. The film will be presented in Dolby Vision, which is a high dynamic range and Dolby Atmos immersive audio. The picture and sound quality will exceed even the 40th anniversary version, that 4K disc release back in May 2024. This is even better than that. And although the disc was color graded in HDR, for those of you all that are really technical about this, it was subsequently translated to meet the presentation standards of Dolby Vision. And so we are excited to share that with you. And as important as the pictures captured by director Albert Magnoli is the sound. It's the sound of the performance by Prince and the Revolution, The Time, and Apollonia 6. The film's audio was previously also restored for home video from the original Dolby Stereo archive. And we're excited about this. Prince's Purple Rain, for those of y'all that's not up on your Prince history, Purple Rain is one of the most beloved movie musicals of all time, hands down, earning $70 million upon its initial release and making the Minnesota native an overnight superstar. And so Purple Rain, again, is going to be screened at all Dolby Cinema at AMC theater locations throughout the United States and Dolby Cinema at some locations in the UK. Run, don't walk. Run, don't walk to check out a little bit of Prince. And I'm wondering to our folks that are streaming live on YouTube that are in the group chat, how many of you are excited to experience Prince for one night only? I know I'm excited. I'm going to make sure that I get my tickets early. And speaking of tickets, for anybody living in LA, Andy, what year was this? Remember when Prince did, I think it was 25 concerts for $25 at the Forum in Inglewood. And let me tell you, that was one of the hottest tickets in town. Hands down. You know, all the pandemonium around, getting, Beyonce Renaissance tickets and to some degree still with Cowboy Carter, right? But that didn't match the energy around getting these Prince tickets, right? It was in 2011. I remember being here in LA. And what made that experience so great, people didn't have to think twice about their rent money versus their play money. People didn't have to think about, okay, am I going to pay this mortgage on time or am I going to get these Beyonce tickets? Yeah, I said it. Right. And, this is a reminder that Prince was a special kind of artist, right? He wanted to make art more accessible. And I think there are a lot of artists today, that can take their cues from Prince. I'm not saying, people shouldn't, charge whatever price they believe they should be paid for their art, right? But I'm saying that there's some wisdom in that, is leaving some room to make your art more accessible to the people. Accessible to the people. And so there are some people that saw more Prince concerts in that period of time than they have seen anything else in their entire lifetime. I remember that there were lots of cameo appearances by other artists. Alicia Keys showed up on stage one night. I think even Whitney Houston showed up on stage with Prince one night. I mean, you didn't know who Prince was going to pull on stage from night to night. And the fact that tickets were only $25, folks were, going to Prince concerts all week. And so it was a very special experience. And I think that is what Prince's legacy means to me. There's something about the moments that he curated that were lasting, that were worth holding on to, that were worth remembering. And you feel it in his music. You can't go anywhere in this country or around the world and hear somebody singing Purple Rain or one of Prince's many hits and not feel something. And so may Prince rest in peace. And may each and every one of you go out and get your tickets for the one night only, March 5th, release of Purple Rain by Warner Brothers Discovery and Dolby. We thank them for doing it. I'm sure Prince's estate had a say in this. We thank them for making it available. And we hope that you all enjoy it as much as I'm going to enjoy it. Selena, I see you. You said you just want to see someone dancing in the Purple Rain. Okay, all right. We got it. Purple Rain. All right. We see you in the chat. When we come forward, we're switching gears a little bit. I know the news was a little heavy. This hour was a little heavy, but I promise you, we are going to lighten it up with our special guest, James Muhammad. He's doing some incredible things over at my alma mater, the University of Southern California. He's doing some incredible things on the music front. He's a transformative leader. He's reshaping public radio in Los Angeles and beyond. And you don't want to miss our conversation. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union in afternoon drive time right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Hundreds of Colorado State University students are rallying to protect DEI programs after federal orders to shut them down or lose funding. CSU's president says the school will comply, but students argue it's prioritizing itself over them. Maryland has raised its annual liquor license fees by over $1,000.